The 2026 NFL draft might be the most dangerous draft in years. Not because there's no talent, but because history tells us something important. Nearly half of top 10 draft picks don't live up to expectations. And this year, some of the most hyped prospects come with serious red flags. We're talking about players ranked at the very top, who could just as easily fail as they could dominate. Today, we're breaking down 5 prospects who could become superstars or complete disasters. And more importantly, we'll show you exactly why. Let's start with Fernando Mendoza. On the surface, he looks like a franchise quarterback. 6 feet 5 inches, 236 pounds. Heisman winner. Over 4,000 passing yards. But here's where things get interesting. Quarterback evaluation isn't about production. It's about projection. And historically, that's where teams get it wrong. Over the past decade, around 40 to 50% of quarterbacks drafted in the top 10 have failed to become long-term starters. And many of them had something in common. They came from structured college offenses. Mendoza thrived in a system that created clean reads and controlled situations. But in the NFL, that structure disappears. Defenses disguise coverage. Pressure arrives faster. Mistakes get punished instantly. So the real question isn't what Mendoza has already done. It's what happens when everything breaks down. If he can adapt, he's a franchise QB. If not, he becomes another cautionary story. Next, Jeremiyah Love, one of the most explosive players in this class. 4.3 speed, game-breaking ability, a threat every time he touches the ball. But here's the reality of the NFL today. Running backs don't last. The average peak for an NFL running back is just around 2 to 3 years. After that, production often declines. And because of that, teams rarely invest early picks at the position anymore. Even elite running backs are often replaced rather than extended. So with Love, the debate isn't talent. It's value. If he becomes a true offensive weapon, he changes games. But if his impact doesn't match the investment, he becomes replaceable. And that's a risk teams are increasingly unwilling to take. Now Arvell Reese, a defensive player who can do almost everything. Rush the passer, stop the run, drop into coverage. On paper, that versatility sounds like a massive advantage. But historically, hybrid defenders face a unique challenge. Because in the NFL, success is tied to specialization. Players who don't have a clearly defined role often struggle to find consistency. And when teams don't know exactly how to use a player, that development slows down. Reese's production is impressive, but the key question is alignment. Where does he play full-time? Because if a team defines his role correctly, he could become a cornerstone defender. But if they don't, he risks becoming a player without a position. And that's one of the fastest ways talent gets wasted at the next level. Now, let's talk about Jermod McCoy. Before his injury, he showed clear CB1 potential, playmaking ability, strong instincts, ball production. But then came the ACL injury. And this is where evaluation becomes difficult. Because while many players return from ACL injuries, not all return at the same level. Especially at cornerback, where even a slight loss in speed or reaction time can be critical. At this position, the margin for error is incredibly small. Just half a step slower can turn a great defender into an average one. So for McCoy, teams aren't just evaluating tape. They're projecting recovery. If he returns fully, he's a top-tier talent. If he doesn't, that drop-off could be significant. Finally, Mauigoa, one of the most physically imposing offensive linemen in this class. Powerful, strong, NFL-ready frame. But offensive line evaluation comes down to one critical factor. Can you handle speed? Because in today's NFL, edge rushers are faster and more explosive than ever. And tackles are responsible for stopping them. If a tackle struggles with lateral movement, they get moved inside to guard. And here's why that matters. Tackles are significantly more valuable than guards. So even if Mauigoa succeeds as a player, his overall value depends on where he plays. If he stays at tackle, he's a premium asset. If he moves inside, his impact drops. Same player, different outcome. This is what makes the 2026 draft so unpredictable. It's not about who has talent. It's about who translates. Every player on this list has the tools to succeed. But they also carry real risk, the kind that can define entire careers. So now the question is, which of these players would you bet on? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more breakdowns like this, make sure to subscribe.